years ago. Yeah. What's your parents?
Oh, I've gotten the cue from Steve in the back. Steve in the back is filming this for all the people who will log on in a couple of weeks to see this workshop. So I figured when my mother and her friends are done, we can do other things with the video, like edit it into one of those bad lip reading videos. But a special caution to those of you near the camera, you know, your audible groans of displeasure with whatever I'm saying could be picked up. And I will watch it because my mother will be over because she doesn't know how to work the computer. So it'd be less awkward for you and me if you kind of groaned in a different section of the room. Yeah. What I'm hoping today is, or becomes, is a conversation. This workshop becomes a conversation because, unfortunately, I'm not convinced I have any answers for you about anything. My name is Neil, and I'm passionate to talk to you and anybody who's wanting to talk about connection within or apart from the church. And I'm really thankful that the workshop you wanted to attend was full. So that means a lot to me. As I said before, it's really flattering that some of you look ready to take notes. I wouldn't set your expectations that high. But if you'd rather doodle, that's fine. If there's something you see that you'd like to see again, I'd be happy to email you the slideshow. I'll also put it on SlideShare if you want that information later. If you're a visual processor and can't do both, that's fine by me as well. But what I'd love to do is hear from you why you are here, why you might be passionate talking about connection. So I won't force you. This isn't the forced family fun, although it's coming. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'd love to hear from any of you that would want to share. Introduce yourself, name where you're from, and why you're here. Seeing none. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne.
Wayne Moore, and I'm from Longmont. And I'm thinking of helping the church grow its congregation. I've tried this over the years. I've been a member there since '92. My kids were raised in the church. And finding out that within a 5-mile radius of our church, we have about 45% of the population that identify themselves as having no church affiliation. 45%. Wow. And this is Old Town Longmont, so it's kind of interesting. My background is in marketing and demographics and segmentation profiling, etc. So I'm going to help by bringing a lot more information from just that point that these are nuns surrounding the church and find out age and all kinds of other things. But I'm a writer and a communicator, so I want to understand what tools are effective. I'm also, through my work, do Twitter and all those kinds of things.
So you know about the Google machine.
Right. So I want to know what is going to be effective to tell our story as a church congregation, to get people curious enough to come and check us out without having to put a Starbucks in front. Well, we may do that. That's fine.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll share. Corbin Davis, pastor of Youth, Young Adults, and Community Ministries at Parkview in Aurora. And I have a lot of interests. I do summer camping program, which I love deeply, the high school youth. But I'm also really interested, our church has started these after-school programs. And it's been this really interesting blend. Particularly last night, I was doing the UCC yearbook numbers. And I gave it to my secretary, and she brought it back. She said, you didn't include any of the after-school kids in the Christian education. And so I'm interested because there's sort of this, I think in my own brain, both things are thriving, but there's a little bit of a divide about, what is the church education and what is our after-school program. And I think I realized that the heart of it for me is really cultivating a space where it's about connecting in community and having expectations of what it means to be a part of a community of accountability, and where that looks different when I can use God language and where it looks different when I'm not able to use God language. So if you can solve all that.
I was going to say, why don't we switch places? It would be awesome. Mom, pause the tape. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty much the workshop right there. It's great to have you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'm Steve Mitchell, and I'm pastor at Mountain View United in Aurora as well. And it just so happens that I'm the team leader for growth for the conference growth team.
Sure.
So I think
Why
this
don't
is
you be the
something.
stewardship chair too?
This will help me. I think. I'm hoping. I mean, that was the selection. That maybe this will help me pull in some other ideas that I have yet to incorporate.
Okay.
Well, I'm Kirk Thomas. I'm the minister at Kingsbury Community in Vernal, Utah, a very little tiny congregation in a very strange and conservative and remote part of the West. And, you know, like everybody else, at my late age, I'm trying to catch up with technology and figure out where all these young folks who are anywhere beneath my age are in terms of what they're doing and where they're going and how they're connecting and what's important to them. I'm convinced that you know that we've existed for 2,000 years. Something's going for us. We've got something that we know, but how to make that interesting and work for the new generation is a real challenge, and it's a challenge for me personally. I just got this thing a few weeks ago.
Hey,
I'm trying to learn how to use it.
how do you feel?
I do each one of these things just a little bit at a time. Maybe by next year I'll know how to use Facebook. I don't know. But you know, so any little pieces of intelligence that will move me forward on these things is welcome.
Okay, well, one of you all has to be responsible for giving him the intelligence. I got a slideshow, no intelligence. Anybody else? Hopefully we'll have much more opportunities to converse and introduce ourselves. I'll introduce myself only to explain what makes me even willing to volunteer to say that I might have some input into the conversation too. My name is Neil, and I'm a youth minister, and I know, how about this? Now I'm starting to look more youth ministry already. Okay. See, now as you can see, I'm a youth minister. Right?
That's what a frazzled like.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was the Faith Events Ministries coordinator for the Florida Conference of the United Church of Christ, which meant I was directing their summer camp program when they had one. And I directed their regional retreats as well. I worked with a nonprofit group that did some youth leadership opportunities through PepsiCo International Headquarters in White Plains, New York. And that was I put that because that was the first opportunity where I thought, well, gosh, if we stay inside the church walls, we're missing something. Because those church kids have enough people that care about them, at least enough to drag them to church. You know, these were students in a school setting. Oh, maybe ministry's got to happen here too. And then from there, my mom and a few of her friends read my blog at relevantfornow.com. You could go there today and it would double my viewers, but you don't have to. But I was eager to join a conversation that said, how do we become relevant again? And it's such a vague word, and it's played around, and we're always trying to be relevant. By the time we get there, especially in the church, we're already irrelevant again. We just got through broadcasting our services in black and white, and now we're excited about this internet thing. Looks like it's going to stick around. I love the church. I kid, because I love. And then I attended a social phonics boot camp with Tony Jones and Doug Padgett, and I don't work for them. I'm not on their level, but it was an opportunity to go. I encourage you to check that out, the social phonics boot camp, because it's some real powerful information about how to use technology to make your jobs easier. So in the process, I've had the opportunity to do some consulting within our conference about how to use social media. And I want to say up front, Barbara and I were talking about it, I want to say I believe all new technology is helpful and it makes us very capable of much more than we could dream. However, what I'm going to be talking to you a lot about today and encouraging you to talk about today is going to be addressing those things by which we're not as empowered to be doing anymore because of this technology. In other words, I think what makes new technology in our era dangerous is that we understand its positives without its negatives. And it's not that it's good or bad, it's just that it changes the game. And we're still playing by the old rules. And that's what I'm hoping. So I hope nothing I say is taken by you to be bashing this technology, because frankly, I'm not nearly powerful enough times 1,000 to do anything about it. Secondarily, listen, look here are all my products. I got this, I got that. I use the technology. It's changed my life, but I think we need to, as people, parents, churches, whatever, understand the way the game has changed. But I am a youth minister, and I think that one thing that has been noticed, Tony Jones said this once, that youth ministry has often become the church 20 years after. In other words, let's look at this. Oh, actually, I'm going to come back to that in a second. What was the 90s youth group, right? With the bands and the intensity, became the mega church. Loose model, I'm not a historian. But in other words, before it became an acceptable church venue, it was a youth group venue. And then when those students became adults, they had this church model. And then the same thing now, this is Solomon's Porch, an emergent Christianity gathering. And if you look at it, it looks like a youth room. Couches everywhere in a circle. Paintings on the wall. And I think this happens for two reasons. That what our youth group was becomes our church in 20 years. I think it happens first because the church responds to our culture. That's an important point, I guess I should assert that is. I mean, I didn't create it, but that's the assumption I'm making. That our church continually responds to the culture. I think that's natural and probably good. But secondarily, I think what that says to me, as I've read it, it's, again, not my original thought, what it says is that we've created a disconnect across generations in our church. That the youth group generation grows up and then starts their own church, or their own model of church, or their own service within the church. And I'm not trying to bash different styles of worship. I think that's okay. But when what we're seeing is people growing up and saying, well, I don't fit in this church, I've got to go somewhere else or do something new. To me, that's a problem and speaks to disconnect. And so one of the disconnects I'd like to address is the generational disconnect within our churches. But if we're going to do the whole youth group model, we're going to go to forced family fun. A little intergenerational, you probably won't like it, but it's forced interaction with our family. So we're gonna play a game here. We're gonna get up. We're gonna move around. We're gonna play. Has everybody played rock, paper, scissors before? Okay. What you're gonna do is be tasked to move around the room and introduce yourself. For example, you would go up to somebody and you would say, "Hi, my name's Neil," except that's not what you would say because that's not your name. And then the other person would say,
"Hi, I'm Amy Fowler."
Except that's probably not what you would say either because that's not your name. Then you commence to play rock, paper, scissors. This is not a sanctioned match, so you don't get to play the dynamite. You only get 3 options. Rock, which beats scissors. Whoa! Put that away. Scissors, which beats paper. Paper, which beats rock. So I would recommend feet shoulder width apart. That's how nobody gets hurt. And you rock, paper, whoa! Amy, careful. We're going on shoot. This is how we get hurt. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Now, Amy would win that round. If scissors versus my paper, I let her win. You probably figured that. Now, that would be very easy. We're going to start out as silly putty. Everybody. You have to be silly putty. You're going to walk around like this, and we're all doing it. And we won't film this part, Steve. So no one will ever know you did it. You'll walk up and you'll say, "Hi, I'm Neil," except that's not your name. And she'll say, "Except that's not your name." And then it's rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And then I'm going to tie you again. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. Amy stays a silly putty. I move up to Slinky. Now, in this game, you can only play with people of your kind. I know. Not very Chris. I know. I know. Throw your stones. So you find a Slinky, and you say, hi, my name's Neil. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, good. Yes, I'm feeling it. So, Kim would go down a level to Silly Putty. I would go up to Bouncy Ball. Depending on how bouncy you're feeling, you can get off your feet, you can smooth from the heels, you're a Bouncy Ball. If you lose, then you go back down to... Okay, I'm going to enforce the forced part of this. It's forced family fun. If you win as a Bouncy Ball, you become a superstar. You're already a superstar. Okay? If you win as a superstar, you've hit it. You've reached the epitome. You're on the pinnacle. You're the best. You're the champion. You're a happy troll. That's that. Remember happy trolls? Excuse the nudity, by the way. It's Generation M. They don't have any reverence. Okay? What you do as a happy troll, you just kind of walk around, still point left. People still playing the game. You give happy troll 10 to somebody else. Okay? This is the forced family portion of the evening, everybody. So, on the count of 3, let's go ahead and begin. 1, 2, 3. We're going to be up. We're going to be moving.